welcome. Leaders Live Generously Summit. I am Dexter B. Jenkins, and I'm so excited, stoked, pumped, or whatever phrase you want to use to be sharing with you today. I want to give before I get into my talk, I really want to give a big shout out to the visionary of this house, the visionary of this event, Dr. Anthony P. Shannon. And so we want to say thank you to him for allowing us to be able to partake of this event. And so my assignment over the next couple of over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to start over. Okay, yeah. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Leaders Live Generously Summit attendees. I am Dexter B. Jenkins. I am super excited, pumped, stoked to be part of this event. I want to give a big thanks to the visionary of this event, Dr. Anthony D. Shannon. So thank you, Dr. Shannon, for allowing me to be a part of this. But my job over the next 15 minutes to 20 minutes or so is to talk to you really about winning with your money. How do you become a financial master? And so I'm going to give you 3 pillars on how to get that done. Just to give you a little background on myself, I am a senior pastor currently, but then I also spent 20 years in the financial services industry prior to that. And then I'm also a real estate entrepreneur. And so what I'm going to do is share with you the thing that I've learned over 3+ decades, really dealing at the intersection of faith, finance, and business. Some principles, some keys that I think if you follow will help you to be become what I call a financial master. Now, this is what I'm going to start out with, because for some of you, maybe 2025 is a year you say, I'm going to get my finances together, or I'm going to get my weight together. And a new year always brings new energy, which is good. And so I think this summit is really taking place at a perfect timing. And I believe that some of the principles I'm going to share with you is really going to help you to get that done. And let me say this to you. You need to become a financial master. You really need to win with your money. And you may be saying, Dexter, why is that? Well, you think about we live in a world that it costs money to live in. You know, I live in the state of Massachusetts, and the average or the median house price of in Massachusetts just went over $600,000. So to think about, you know, there's some below, but there are a lot of that above that. But the median house price is $600,000. Or have you been to the supermarket lately and had to buy eggs and groceries and all that? And so in reality, it just takes a lot of money to live in a way that I believe, you know, I'm dipping to my pastor's hat for a second, the way I believe God wants you to live. And so you really have to become what I'm calling a financial master and really make that part of your goal. Now, you may be asking, Dexter, what is a financial master? And I define someone who's a financial master as someone who really lives life on their terms, free from the concern of finances and money. Let me say that one more time. A financial master, so if we're defining it, is someone who lives life on their terms, free from the concern of money and finances. And so if you break that definition down, you start talking about, you know, someone who lives on their terms. You know, so that means that I found that people who are financial masters, because I've had the good fortune of being around people who I would call financial masters. You know, some drive a Prius, some drive a Mercedes. Some live in a large house, some live in a 1,000 square foot house. And so, see, a master, they can go on either side. So if they want to live simply, they can do that. If they want to live somewhat extravagantly, what others would call extravagantly, they have the ability to do that. And so what we want to do is we want to set ourselves up to be financial masters. See, I want to dictate how I live. I want to set my own course, and that's what financial masters do. You know, I was with my father-in-law a couple weeks ago, and unfortunately, his wife passed away, or my mother-in-law, and so you know, my father-in-law Roger is in his 80s, and we were laughing and talking about we somehow got on the subject of money, and he was saying, yeah, I'm a millionaire because I have X amount of dollars in my he retired some years ago at this point, like probably 30 years ago at this point. And he has some money set in his retirement accounts, and then, you know, between the equity in his house, you know, his houses are pretty much paid off, and so his house is probably worth about $600,000. So we were laughing. He said, "I'm a millionaire," but you know, he lives fairly simply. Warren Buffett is another one. Warren Buffett is a billionaire, and he still lives in the same house, and I believe in Omaha, Nebraska, that he bought well, 40 or 50 years ago. And so it's not about, for most that I found, that they live either fairly simple. They have some who are some more extravagant. They may have Lexus and Bentleys and so on and so forth. But like I said, it's really about it's really about the life that you want to live. So these principles, or these pillars as I'm calling them, I'm going to give you 3 pillars that if you build upon, you'll be a financial master. And that's what I want you to be. So pillar number 1 is, and I'm going to give them to all 3 up front, and then we're going to go break them down so that you'll really get a sense of what it means to have financial mastery. And these pillars are going to help you do that. So the first pillar is what I define as financial alignment. The second pillar is financial aggressiveness. And then the third pillar is what we call financial leverage. So the 3 the 3 pillars are what? Financial alignment. Number 2 is financial blanked out for a second. The second one is, I can start over there. The 3 pillars are cut. I can leave it, that's fine, because they can edit this stuff out anyway. So I'm going to give you 3 pillars that are going to allow you to thrive financially. And so the 3 pillars are, number 1, financial alignment. Number 2, it's financial leverage. I blanked out on my own stuff. My God. Hold up, financial aggressiveness. Okay. All right. So now that we know what a financial master is, what I'm going to do is give you 3 pillars that are going to help you to become a financial master. So the 3 pillars are, number 1 is you want to have financial aggressiveness. I'm blanking out on my stuff. I'm tired. That's what that is. All right, take a minute. So they can edit this stuff out. All right. So now that we know what a financial master is, so what we're going to do is I'm going to give you these 3 pillars that is going to allow you to become a financial master, like I said, Warren Buffett did, like my father-in-law is, and this is going to help you as we're going out to the year 2025. So number 1, the first pillar is financial. Oh God. Hold up. Not my phone. I'm going to write this down. Financial alignment. My notes are in the back. And then it's aggressiveness. And the last one is leverage. All right, now I got it. I need some roti, Junior. Oh, God. All right. Now, we've defined what it means to be a financial master. So we said a financial master, just to recap right quick, like we said, to be a financial master, what you really want to do is about living life on your terms. And what you're doing is free from the concern of money, free from the concern of finances. And so in order to do that, there are 3 pillars that I want to cover over the next few minutes that will allow us to do that. I said the first pillar is, you really want to make sure that you have financial alignment. Pillar number 2 is financial aggressiveness. And then pillar number 3 is financial leverage. So the 3 pillars again are, number 1 is financial alignment. Number 2 is financial aggressiveness. And then number 3 is that third pillar is financial leverage. So let's look at these 3 pillars in order to help you to become a financial master. So the first one, we start talking about financial alignment, is really when you're looking at when your beliefs, when your thoughts, when your words all are in alignment in a way that will allow you to build wealth. And what I found is that in over, like I said, 3 decades of doing this type of stuff, dealing with money, like I said, I spent 20 years in the financial services industry, sitting down with families on a pretty consistent basis. I find most people, their beliefs, their thoughts, and their words, and the things that they desire are not in alignment. So they're really conflicted. I remember years ago, I went and sat with a young woman, and the appointment was set to talk about planning for retirement. It was set to talk about a college for her children. She didn't have a house at the time, so she really wanted to talk about buying a house. And so we set she was a referral, so the appointment was really set in order to look at those things. And what we found out was when I sat down with her, and she found out that I was a Christian and she was a Christian, so we started talking, and she said, "You know what, Dexter, I don't care anything about money. I just want to go to heaven." And I'm thinking in my mind, well, why am I here? Because I'm not here to hang out with you. I'm here to talk about you bettering your financial future. And so she is like most people that I found, is that she was very conflicted. So on one hand, she's saying that she wants to build wealth, but on the other hand, she's saying she cares nothing about finances. And so the first thing you've got to do is you've got to examine, what are my beliefs, what are my thoughts, what are my desires around finances? And if they are out of alignment, you got to get them in alignment. And I'll give you a simple test. What do you think about people who are rich? Or what do you think about people who do well financially? Do you think they're greedy? Do you think that there's not enough to go around? And so if you have those type of thought processes around money and around finances, maybe you grew up in a church where they downplayed, they talked about wealth is for the wicked and poverty is godly. Well, see, those tapes are running in your head, and it's hindering you from moving out and becoming a financial master. And so what you want to do is you've got to get in alignment. Now, this is the big thought I want you to get on this part. Genesis chapter 1, we see that God he makes a number of things, and then he said all of them are good. And in the garden, he talks about there's gold in the garden. Well, if God put that in Genesis chapter 1, and he said that it was good, you got to get in your mind that to be a financial master is good. To have money is good. So that's number one. Then number two, you got to think about it's good for me to have it. Because it's not enough just to be good, but it has to be good for you. Got it? So that's pillar number one. You've got to create financial alignment. So what I'm asking you to do is to examine your beliefs, your thoughts, your words around money. Number two, you got to be financially aggressive. That's pillar number two. Now, what is financial aggressiveness about? Well, in my opinion, I believe most of the financial advice that we get nowadays really has you playing defense. So most of the time you hear people say, and if you close your eyes, you probably can hear the advice. Number one, live beneath your means, set up a budget, save for an emergency fund. And, so that's the typical advice that you hear. And not that in and of themselves those things are bad, but in my opinion, those are all defensive strategies. And if you're going to be a financial master, you've got to get on the aggressive. So you may be saying, Dexter, well, what does that look like? Well, if you're going to get on the other side, on the opposite side of this thing we're talking about, well, you got to be talking about exploding your income. You got to talk about entrepreneurship. You got to talk about being an investor. So whether it's in real estate like myself or stocks and bonds, see, that's when you're talking about getting on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to financial mastery. And listen, you got to do that. Every January 1st starts your financial fiscal year. So think about this. Every January, right, you got debt payments, you're going to have some taxes, and you're going to have inflation, right? So think about this. So if I call it DTI, those are your, what I call your wealth stealers or your wealth enemies. So debt, tax, inflation. So every January 1st, if all you think about is cutting back, you're not going to defeat debt. You're not going to defeat taxes. Because matter of fact, we pay about 5 or 6 different taxes depending on where you live at. Matter of fact, taxes for the most part is your biggest expense. And then inflation. Well, inflation, what is inflation? Inflation simply means that what you spent on eggs last year, you ain't going to spend on eggs this year. Or whatever it is. Things tend to go up, right? And so if you are strictly cutting back, save, budget, and all that, you're not going to become a financial master. And let me say this to you, and I said it a second ago, I spent time with tons of wealthy people. And guess what I never hear them talking about? A budget. I never hear them talking about saving for a rainy day, none of that. They're always talking about expansion. They're always talking about how can I triple my revenue? How can I bring in more income, which I'm talking about in a second. See, that's what you got to be thinking about. You got to get on the offensive side of the ball now when it comes to becoming a financial master. So think about it like this, because some of you guys are basketball fans or maybe you're football fans. It's almost like you're playing a team. I'm living in Boston, Massachusetts at this point, and the Boston Celtics won the championship last year. Well, their main strategy was to see how many three-pointers that they could hit in a game in order to win. So Their strategy was this: if one team is shooting 2-pointers and we're shooting 3-pointers and we make more 3-pointers than they make 2-pointers, we're going to win. So they were thinking offensively. Or if you're a football fan, think about you're playing somebody like Lamar Jackson, or you're playing someone like Patrick Mahomes. See, if you're playing Lamar Jackson, if you're playing Patrick Mahomes, there is no way that you're going to beat those guys strictly playing defense. Or Joe Burrows, these great quarterbacks who can now, this young boy Jaden Daniels is coming up. See, you will not defeat these people, these quarterbacks playing strictly defense. You've got to get on the offensive side of the game. So side of the ball when it comes to your money. So this year in 2025, what I want you to do is this. I want you to make a decision. Hey, look, obviously set up a budget, or I call it a spending plan. Hey, definitely have money set aside because things go wrong. So there is a cushion fund, so on and so forth. But make sure that you are thinking more offensively or becoming financially aggressive this year, because that's going to be your second pillar if you want to become a financial master. And then the last one is this. So we've talked about I just finished up talking about financial aggressiveness. We started out talking about financial alignment. So we're talking about how you become a financial master, how you become a person that, you live life on your terms without having to think about money and finances. The third pillar is this, and it's financial leverage, which is by far my favorite pillar, because leverage helps you to really go faster. My definition of financial leverage is this. Is the ability to bring in more income with less effort. I'm going to say that one more time. Financial leverage, if you're taking notes, and you should be, financial leverage is the ability to bring in more income with less effort. Notice I didn't say earn more income. I said bring in more income. So if you want to become a financial master, you got to find ways to bring in more money without you being physically involved in it. Now, and that's a paradigm shift for all of us, for many of us, because we've been taught that every dollar that we have that comes to us, we got to go earn it and work for it. And what I found is dealing in my own personal life, and as well as dealing with people who make tons of money. You know what? Their focus is always on how can I bring in more income without me being involved in it physically. So financial leverage is something you really have to learn how to master in the year 2025. Now, you may say, Dexter, what's an example of financial leverage? I'm glad you asked me again. Well, I look at one of the easiest ways to use financial leverage is this thing called real estate. Now, like I said, that's one of the things that we do. I'm a full-time pastor, but then I'm also, we do a lot of real estate. And my wife and I have been doing it since 2016, so we've been involved in millions of dollars of real estate transactions since then. But, real estate allows you to create leverage for yourself, the ability to bring in more income with less effort. I'll give you an example. My father was a barber in New Haven, Connecticut for over, 60 plus years at this point. He's passed away 2 years ago. But he was a barber for about 60 years in New Haven. But then he always owned real estate. And so he placed in me this thought. He said, Dexter, always own two things. Always own where you live and always own where you do business. So obviously we owned, I grew up in a two-family, but then my dad always ran his barbershop out of a spot that he owned. So for the first 20-something years I remember, he didn't own it, but I think in 1991, he opened his own physical barbershop. And so on the first floor, he ran a barbershop out of it, but then on the other side, he had two apartments that had two units in it, and then off of that had 4 garages. So check this out. So he had the barbershop was on the first floor, then he had 2 other apartments that he rented out, and then he had four garages off of that. And so he was making money physically off what he did, but then he had leverage going for him in the form of rentals. Now check this out. One of the rentals was rented to happened to be a family member of ours, and Dad, actually it was his brother, and my father rented to him, Uncle Julian is his name. Uncle Julian, for like about 20 plus years, he rented to him, and he gave him a discount, which is a whole nother story. But I think Uncle Julian paid $800 a month for 20 years. And I sat there, did the math. I said, Dad, I said, do you recognize how much money Uncle Julian has paid you over a 20-year period? And it probably was 20 plus. I'm just saying roughly 20 years that I remember. And I said, Dad, Uncle Julian. So I did the math. So, and if you want to do this is a great exercise. If you do 800 times 12, right, times 20, that number will come out to $192,000 over a 20-year period. My Uncle Julian paid my father. So Dad didn't do anything, but he had real estate, and the real estate provided housing, and because it provided housing, he brought in the income. 100 and what? Now think about this. So I said, Dad, did you know that you made about, let's round it to 200,000. Dad, Uncle Julian paid you about 200,000 over the last 20 years from renting your apartment. And then when I did the math, I said my dad averaged about $15 a haircut over that 20-year period. And so when I divided the $15 into $192,000, the number was 12,800 came up. So to put this in perspective, that means that my father would have had to have 12,800 people physically sit in his chair and cut their hair to make $192,000. Now, understand this. That's physically impossible for him to do, but what he was able to do was to make the $192,000, let's just say $200,000, because of this thing called leverage. Now, check this out. He didn't have just one. He had how many? Two. So Uncle Julian paid him $192,000. Somebody else paid him $192,000. That's just for the apartment. And then he had the garages off of that. So let me say this to you. Leverage is what you've got to build if you want to be a financial master. That is a huge pillar. Now, understand this. Everybody else understands leverage but us. I like to say this. Most of the time, we're being leveraged as opposed to leveraging. So if you look at your bank, understands leverage, right? They take your money and they keep it moving, right? Credit cards, student loans, so on and so forth. Then you look at your employer. They use your hours and obviously people in your department to leverage it for more profits. Your landlord, if you have one or ever had one, but the landlord use either some of your money or all of your money to pay the rent, correct? To pay their mortgage. And so you've got to get to a point, I got to get to a point where we are using leverage big time in order for us to become financial masters. So that's what it's going to take in the year 2025. In the year of the prophet talked about in the beginning, Dr. Anthony said, hey, look, this is 25 is your year to thrive. If you want to thrive in the year 25, if you want to become a financial master, if you put those three pillars together, it will allow you to do that. Now, I have a free gift for you. If you want to stay in contact with me, go to dexterbjenkins.com, dexterbjenkins.com. And if I have a free gift, it's called the 3 Ships of Wealth Building, which stands for stewardship, ownership, and entrepreneurship. Actually, it's a biblical framework that I picked up out of the book of Proverbs, which is the best business book out there some time ago. And so if you want that, if you go over there and if you look in the header and the footer, there's a green button, smash that button. You can download that PDF. And what that will also allow you to do is it will allow me to stay in contact with you. But then you can also follow me across all my social media. I'm Dexter B. Jenkins. So on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, follow me there. Particularly, I love to hang out on, I like to hang out on LinkedIn, so that's my favorite one. But I would love to stay in contact with you. So this is me tuning off. I want you to thrive in the year 2025 and to become a financial master. Be blessed. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.